Namaskar, Suswagatam. Good morning, everyone. Am I clear? The audio clear? We have already tested on YouTube Live, but still on Teams. If you can hear me clearly, please indicate in the chat so that we can start. On YouTube Live, am I audible? Audio, video clear on YouTube Live? And on MS Teams? Yes. Thank you.
No song. Should I say no song?
Why there is no sound? Hello? Yes. I think we can go ahead because So, good morning, everyone, once again. I'm Dhargalkar here, welcoming you all on Microsoft Teams and YouTube Live. It's to the credit of our speaker who makes this subject of redevelopment so simple and interesting. And also interest shown by all of you by your active participation that this series of webinar on successful redevelopment has really been successful. We have already completed 8 webinars in the series, and today we are conducting the 9th one, which is titled Repossession. And in this, we will cover process and documentation related to the repossession process of flats as well as project. As mentioned last time, we have added one new feature to our website, short notes. This is like a quick guide, quick reference, and it is available under the tab roadmap of each phase. So I request you all to check it out and also let us know if you want any more such features to be added to make it more user friendly so that we can also keep on innovating and making it better and better. Yes. The joy of accomplishment is the beginning of happiness. And what an accomplishment it is when the project, such a complex project, is completed. And it's indeed a pure joy for all the stakeholders. And everyone will agree on that. And that's really the beginning of happiness when you enter your new house with pride that you have completed something great. But this last leg of the project also involves a lot of complicated documentation and meticulous process. And that's what we will hear from our speaker today. But before that, as usual, let me go through the measures taken by Technoesis in this field. We have this WhatsApp group, which has more than 480 members right now. We have YouTube channel by the same name, Technoesis Redevelopment Help. The group also has the same name and the channel also has the same name on which we are live right now. And all our previous videos are available on this channel. Videos of this series as well as the earlier videos. Then, of course, we have this website, www.redevelopment.info, which is the base of our webinars. This is with the website in mind, we have started this webinar series. Then the webinar series, Successful Redevelopment, where we have already completed 8 webinars, and the 9th one we are conducting today, and 10th one we will announce soon. Let me quickly go through what we have seen in this entire series of 8 webinars. First one was the overview of redevelopment. This was the introductory session where we took just a tour of the entire website. Then the next one was phase one, stage one, because there are 5 phases, but it has some of the phases have multiple stages. So we have gone stage by stage. So first one was phase one, stage one, initiating project and appointing PMC. Next was phase one, stage two, feasibility study and report. Fourth one was phase two, stage one, tendering for redevelopment. Next, the fifth one was phase two, stage two, selecting a developer. Next, phase three, pre-construction phase. Then came the construction phase. It was divided into 2 parts, part one, part two. Though there is no second stage in it, but still, because it involves a lot of documentation, we divided it into two, seventh and the eighth one. So in the eighth one, we covered data capture, documentation, site visit report, uh, minutes of meeting, project review report, and so on. And now we are ready for the ninth one, which is repossession, in which we will learn about the process and modalities of taking possession of your new homes. As I said, of the flats as well as the project. And as always, Mr. Umesh Dhargalkar, our speaker, will take us through the entire process. But before that, let me quickly introduce him. B.Tech Civil and M.Tech Structural from prestigious institution IIT Bombay, 40 years of experience in structural and civil engineering, particularly in buildings, 18 years of experience in redevelopment project, 15 years of experience in training, certified training courses, conducting webinars, seminars, recipient of 2 national level awards, one as an innovator and another as a trainer in construction industry, and of course, uh, recipient of CREDAI MCHI Ratna Award as Master in Redevelopment. This and much more, and it makes him an authority on this subject. So before wasting any more time, I'll hand it over to Mr. Umesh Dhargalkar.
So good morning and welcome to all of you. I'll begin with a short story about my friend, my very close friend, my buddy at IIT. We also stayed in the same hostel. Very methodical person. I would say, of course, brilliant, very methodical, very systematic, organized person. He might be attending this webinar right now. I don't know, maybe among you. So, yeah, he may be attending because he has been attending my webinars because his father's building is going for redevelopment. Now, meanwhile, a few years ago, he purchased a flat for himself in a redeveloped building. Okay. And about a couple of years ago, he has become a secretary of the new building. Now, since we keep talking and all, and since he is a very systematic person, he asked me, what are the documents and what are the drawings I must have about the new building in my record, in the record of my society. So I gave him a list. He came back to tell me that he didn't even have half of those documents which I had mentioned. Forget even half, much less than that. What he had was basically an approved plan, just one. Okay, not the all other set of the plans. He definitely had occupancy certificate, but he didn't have any working drawings or any as-built drawings. Okay, or any other documents pertaining to the plot, which we'll be talking about later. I don't want to talk, give a list right now. And he was surprised. So he tried to acquire a few drawings because the builder was still in touch. But there was, builder also used to say, itna hi hai, itna hi hai. Okay. And for the as-built drawings, in fact, he was surprised कि ये क्या मांग रहे हैं, you know. So this is something which my friend has faced. And I'm sure many of you, when you take possession of your new flat, you are so overwhelmed. अपने फ्लैट में मतलब I have got a new flat. Okay, you are so happy. You have concluded one project and you have already come back in a new flat. You are very happy, as if you have attained nirvana. Okay, and the only thing you know that we should take possession. Everyone's talking about this. OC आया क्या? OC आया क्या? Full OC आया तो possession ले. As if OC is one kind of magic document on which everything depends. The fact is not like that. Okay, there are many things. OC is one process which we will see about that. But about the building, there are many things to be considered. And when we come to live in a new building, we look forward to a new life and everything. And we get sort of busy with our family and our work and everything. And nobody has the time to, look at it from the project angle and put the house in order or put the documents in order. And then if you don't attend to that, then later on, after another 5 years, the time will come that you'll never get them because nobody just has them. So I want to stress, before I begin, I want to stress here that the real completion of a project, what we call as virtual completion, meaning the building getting ready, and the completion which everyone generally it is looked at as OC आया तो building हो गया. There's a difference. OC, when you get OC, it only means that BMC is saying that your building has been constructed as per the DCPR rules. Nothing more than that. How? On the basis of the documents which they get or the BMC gets from the consultants of the developer. So if the architect says the building ho gaya hai, of course, ho gaya. The structural engineer says everything has been done, the building is safe and stable. It is safe and stable. That is what BMC looks at. Whereas it may not be so, because when you come back to stay in your new flat, maybe you come across some leakages. Maybe you come across some unfinished areas in your flat. Maybe you have a trouble with the pressure of water there. There can be so many things. Even after you get your OC, you can have still so many issues in your individual flats as well as in the building. And it also may be the case that you don't have the drawings and documents which are required to be there in your possession. So with that, let me bring you to the first slide, which I always touch upon before I start the material discussion in the webinar. So we are at the stage, I will say phase 5, which we will call as repossession. Sometimes it is also called HOTO, HOTO, which means handing over, taking over. Okay, that is the stage. Now, what has already happened in the past is that we selected a developer in 1 year's time. Then with the developer, we did the legal documentation, and then the plans got approved, and then finally we vacated in another 1 year time. And but after thereafter for 3 years, the building was in construction, and so we have already spent 5 years. If you are coming back after 5 years, congratulations, because people sometimes take 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. Some people just don't come back to their flats. So 5 years is a modest time. Even I would say 5.5 years also should be acceptable. But the last uh, fifth phase is, in my experience, is something which people usually take for granted. Building हो गया ना, अभी repossession करके जाके, repossession for them means just taking possession of their flat and the car park and then start staying there. And that is why they look at it as as something which has a period of 1 month. Now, 1 month is a period of the notice which the developer will give to you that you come and take the possession. What it also means is this, that after 1 year, your rent is going to stop. Okay, so basically it's a notice period in which you take the possession of your flat. But in my opinion and my experience, this repossession process, okay, or handing over process, photo, or the repossession process, getting the building actually complete, actually needs 3 more months. So if everything has been checked in previous three months, which are part of the construction phase itself. So out of the 36 months of the construction phase, the last 3 phases should be spent for preparing for repossession. Then only you can take possession of your flat in the last 1 month. Okay, there is so much of work to be done. Now let's see what it really means to us. So that brings me to the broad contents of today's webinar. First, we will see how to prepare for repossession flats. Okay, here there are 3 aspects here. When you take repossession, there are 3 aspects. One is your own flats, because that's where you stay. Then the building. So the flats have to be completed, the building has to be completed, and finally the project also has to be completed. Now this is a dimension which is 2 dimensions of the project, I mean the building and the project, which most people forget when they take possession of their new flat. So let's see how to prepare for repossession of flats. Then how to prepare for repossession of the external and common areas. What I mean is the entire building. Okay. Then we will go through the process of repossession of flats, which is different, because presuming there are 100 members in your society, there are 100 flats and 100 individual flats of 100 individual members. So that process is quite different from the next process of handover of the project of the external and common areas. Then we will visit our website and see how this phase looks there on the website and how to do it using our website, wherein we will see the steps, milestones, records, and guideposts which are part of this phase. And finally, I can share with you, if time permits, some important standards which we have developed. Like, for example, if you have to really examine a flat or inspect a flat, okay, what are the things you should see? If you inspect the surroundings, what are the things you should see? So when you take actual handing over, taking over photo, let me use the word now again. So when you do that, which are the documents which you must insist from the developer? All that thing. So there's a list of documents. So these are very important standards. You will rarely come across these standards anywhere else. So we will in our next work on our website, we will be uploading some of these standards for all the phases. So let's start with phase 5. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying repossession, I'm saying preparing for repossession, handing over, taking over. Handing over means the developer is handing over to us and we are taking over our project. So Now members flats. Remember, members flats have to be complete in all respects so that the person can or the family can come there and start living their normal life without having to be bothered about the leakages, the cracks, the noise, the kind of, I would say, rough movement of sliding windows and such things like that, even cleanliness. Okay. So when we talk about flats, we have to think about each member. So each member was promised a certain MOPA carpet area. So at the end of the project, okay, what we do is that we actually measure and check the MOPA carpet areas of typical flats in the building. Typical, I would say, members flats, not the same flats. So if the members are 100, okay, does it mean that we will measure 100 flats? The answer is no. But then if there are, say, there are 100 members staying in 5 types of flats, then what we would rather do is that we would measure randomly 3 flats each of the 5 types, maybe 3, maybe 2, whatever. That can be decided for every project. And then we measure them and take the average, and that becomes the carpet area of the MOPA carpet area of that type of flats. Remember one thing, if the building is constructed as per the plans, your RERA carpet area will not change because it is all that area which is bound by the external periphery. However, if your contract with the developer is on MOPA carpet area, which in a redevelopment project is generally the case, in that case, the carpet areas of typical flats have to be measured, okay, and to be checked whether they are, more or less in agreement with what the developer had promised, uh, uh, except perhaps the tolerance, the construction tolerance, which is about 1% of the construction, 1% of the area. So this is one checking. This is what to be done by a BMC. Then jointly inspecting all flats. Now here I'm talking about all flats. So if your building had originally 100 flats, I'm talking about inspecting 100 flats. Not, of course, when we measure carpet areas, we measured for 15, 5 and 3 of 5. But for when it comes to inspecting the actual work, we will have to inspect all the flats and prepare a snag list. Snag list means the list of the things, list of defects, list of the things which have not been attended and things like that. Okay. So I will show you a snag list, a very comprehensive snag list which you can use in your project. So jointly inspecting all the flats. What is required? But imagine here, if 100 flats, then 100 flats are going to take a long time. And that is why I said that preparation for repossession starts at least 3 months in advance. Why? The PMCs people have to, first of all, those 100 flats have to be ready. The developer has to say, ready hai, abhi aap check karo. Then PMC has to inspect each and every flat and prepare a sign list. So this takes time. And then there is another process also, which will come to that. So that is why this process of handing over, taking over, or rather preparing for that takes 3 to 4 months. Now, what do we see in this joint inspection? I said joint meaning developers representative, PMC representative. Okay, they will go around and the PMC will make a list and flag off those defects, incomplete works and things like that, such as seepage, cracks, defects in finishing. Let's say paint is not really smooth, or the corners are not, sharp, levels are not proper, the windows are not moving properly, the doors are making noise, the locks are not fitting. So many things can be done. Okay, so defects in or incomplete work. Incomplete means certain work has not been done on. For example, the sliding windows are there, but the locks for the sliding windows have not been fixed. All right. So, or let's say the a gadget has not been fixed, like say water purifier has not been fixed, work is incomplete or work has defects. So that is about joint inspection of all the flats. Then rectification of the defects by the developer. So when flats are inspected, a snag list is prepared for each flat separately, for each room separately. Okay, and then that snag list is handed over to the developer with a CC, a copy to the society. Now, what is expected is that the developer will, his team will work on that and rectify those defects because they already have a list. They know what to do. Once that rectification has been done, the developer's engineer will tell the PMC that rectification हो गया, अभी अपन वापस check करते हैं. So there is again jointly verifying the rectification work. And you will find that some of the defects are still not rectified. So then what you do is that you prepare another snag list, which is called final snag list. Sometimes in our projects, we have done this exercise one more time. मतलब snag list है, वापस rectify करो, वापस लेके आओ. Okay, and then so maybe you do verification once or twice depending on what your contract is with the PMC. Now, remember, even if you have checked the flats, even if your PMC has checked the flats, there are certain items which are never, or I would say, they are never fixed or installed in the beginning. They are installed right at the end. Many times the developer will tell you, आप पोजीशन लेने के पहले बोलो पेंट का फाइनल हाथ मार के आपको मैं देता हूँ. Something like that. Okay. Now, such things are invariably there in all the projects. So there's no point in insisting, okay, that the fan नहीं लगाया या तो वीडियो डोर फैन नहीं लगाया और मॉड्यूलर किचन नहीं लगाया, वाटर प्यूरिफायर नहीं लगाया. If you say like that, the builder will say, आप रहने को आ जाओ ना, हम लगा देते. You tell us when you are coming. So just before you are coming, you give us 2 days and we'll fix it because they are not generally done in the beginning. So what has to be done, what your PMC has to do is that he has to list out such points which are beyond his checking. And those points, such as fittings and fixtures, okay, means say fancy lights, okay, then sometimes showers. They may be electrical sanitary type or modular kitchen, gadgets, whatever, those examples which I just gave you. So these points have to be listed separately and they have to be attended to, or I'll say they have to be checked by the respective members because they are not ready for checking in the beginning. Now let's see what happens about the external plan. So what we have seen here is how to prepare the flats for repossession. So this is the slide in which we have done that. Now let's talk about the external or common areas and amenities. Okay, amenities meaning clubhouse or say your what do you call a gymnasium, okay, or fitness center or society office. These are the things, swimming pool. So jointly inspecting and preparing area-wise snag list. In flats, we prepared the snag list flat-wise, room-wise. Here it is area-wise. Entrance lobby, okay, right? Staircase, okay. Floor lobbies, terrace. So so there is a joint visit again done by the PMC and PMCs and developers representatives, and area-wise snag lists are prepared and they are again given to the developer with copy to the society for rectification. That rectification should also be ideally area-wise so that one by one you clear off that area and you are moving towards the completion of the building. Again, jointly verifying rectification of the work, like what we had in the flat. Okay. So डेवलपर के लोगों ने रेक्टिफिकेशन किया कि नहीं, दैट इज टू बी चेक बाय पीएमसी. इफ नहीं किया है तो अगेन अनदर लिस्ट इज प्रिपेयर्ड एंड गिवन इट टू हिम कि ये तुमको करना है. Now there are few things here which were not there in the flats. Testing of equipment. Let's say you are building it such that you have a parking tower, or you have a lift, you have a DG set, or you have puzzle parking. Now the functional, the mechanical operations of this also has to be tested. Okay. So testing of equipment, testing of services, plumbing services, firefighting services, testing of such services. And again, like that, listing points to be provided later. There are certain things which will not be installed at this stage. The developer will say, अभी आप रहने को तो आ जाओ, आपको एक हफ्ते में मैं ये सब करके देता हूँ. So what could that be? Like say air conditioner for your society office, or say the equipment, the cycle or whatever, in treadmill in your fitness center. Okay, certain furniture was promised to you in the office or in the entrance lobby. Certain things were land in the land, say maybe children's area was promised. So swing, slides, all these things. Okay. So these are the things which can be done later, and these are big things. So like, for example, AC lagane ka hai. Then in your fitness center, there's a trade wheel. So these are standard things which have to come to be the developer will purchase and install them. So that is something which the society or the managing committee can check later, and that list has to be, but that list has to be prepared. If you are not included those things in the list, then it's quite likely that they will be forgotten. Now let's see. What we have seen now is how to prepare your project, the flats and the building for repossession. Now let's see how to take the repossession. Okay, the process of repossession. So first is virtual completion of construction work. This is the technical work. This has nothing to do with what virtual we do, virtual meetings and things like that. Virtually complete means practically complete from functional point of view. Okay, virtually complete meaning कि एक फ्लैट आपका वर्चुअली कंप्लीट है. मीनिंग क्या, आप वहां जाएंगे ना तो आपको बड़ी दिक्कत नहीं आएगी, डे टू डे ऑपरेशंस आपके चले. बट देयर कैन बी सर्टन थिंग विच इज स्टिल पेंडिंग, अ स्मॉल थिंग. Okay, so what we were aiming at when we were preparing the flats and the building for completion was actually virtual completion. You can never say that the building is fully complete unless, of course, all the things. So that is not possible at the stage of taking possession or even little before that. So what we are talking about is virtual completion of construction work. So that has to be done first. Never get carried away only by occupancy certificate. You will find there are many buildings where OC नहीं आया तो definitely problem है, लेकिन OC आया इसलिए all well है, ऐसा नहीं है. So when OC is required, without OC you cannot lawfully take possession of your flat. You may not be able to take lawful possession of a flat, but so with OC you will take a lawful possession. But say maybe from practical angle you will find that your flat is not ready. That is possible. Okay, so virtual completion is first step. Then occupancy certificate, that has to come. Okay, and that occupancy certificate has to be checked and verified by your PMC with reference to the plans which were approved earlier and the working grounds. Okay, then allotment of car parks. Flats are already allotted even before you vacate. If you go back to that webinar, you see that you vacated your flats, and at that time you had the PAAA with you when your flat number was specified. But car park is not specified at that point of time. It is not assigned to you that time. So this is the time when the car parks are allotted. and then you take physical possession of new flats. जब ये सब हो गया तभी. Okay, and this is also possible provided your PMC and the developer, they have really worked for almost 3 to 4 months to prepare the building for possession, which is a point which is ignored in almost all the projects. So possession of new flats, then appointing a facility manager, at least for the initial stages. Some builders will say, हम आपको facility manager देते हैं at our cost. That's possible. If it is not in your contract, you may appoint a facility manager for at least for a few months, because the first few months are maybe critical for you. Maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months. So appointing a facility manager makes very good sense. And deploying developer support team. Now the facility manager is not going to, he's not a facility contractor. He's a facility manager whose main job is to, or perhaps whose only job is to coordinate among all your members and with the developer to get all those balanced things done. Okay, so simultaneously the developer also has to put or say deploy a support team at the site. सपोर्ट टीम में कौन होना चाहिए? प्लम्बर होना चाहिए, कारपेंटर होना चाहिए, इलेक्ट्रिशियन होना चाहिए, like that. So that whenever that facility manager, he finds out that certain things are required to be done in flat number whatever. Okay, so what he will do is that he will coordinate with the developer support team. Suppose there is a requirement of a carpenter, so he will send a carpenter. And these things, remember, all what I'm talking about have to be there in your tender document. And later on in the development agreement, उसके बिना नहीं होता है. There are many defective tender documents and development agreements without such provisions, and then the handing over doesn't become successful. Now attending to members' complaints. Who does this? Facility manager. If you don't appoint facility manager, who has to do this? Your managing committee. Obviously, the secretary chairman won't want to do that because that's not their job. So yes, attending to members' complaints and fulfilling contractual requirements. This is the project aspect. You see, building is definitely the center point, the most important one. But there are other contractual requirements also, like say returning the balance bank guarantee of the developer, okay, or signing a contract for defect liability period, whatever it is. Or say taking some security, or say insurance, or whatever has been specified in your contract document. When I say contract document, I mean development agreement. So when all this is done, flats have been taken over, the building has been taken over, and then the contractual requirements are complete. Then only you can say that your project is complete. Now, for process, the same process for project. We saw about the building. What is done, at least what we do in our project, is that we convene a project closure meeting, which is a joint meeting with the developer, the managing committee and the PMC. And there you see whatever contractual thing I talked about in the last slide, all those things are discussed. Okay, and minutes are prepared and the roadmap is prepared for handing over of the project. Now this is very interesting. Now see this, what are all the things I'm going to tell you now, and believe me, these things are very rarely done in development project, and they are very important. So when we say handover, developer has to hand over to you what? Certain documents. Which are the documents? Approvals. Approval, when I say approval, पहले से लेके IOD, CC, maybe second CC, whatever, जो भी है, finally part OC, full OC, whatever. All those approvals, permissions, NOC, civil aviation, all the NOCs, the other permissions on the basis of which your approvals were secured by the developer. Okay, so these are the things which what you generally find people do get OCs. OC मिल जाता है एक पेपर और थोड़े approved plan मिल जाते हैं. But there are many other things which are missing. Now, the second point is as built drawing. Remember, building is not constructed on your approvals. Approvals are approved plans also. Not exactly on that. Based on the approved plans, certain working drawings have to be prepared. Now, those working drawings are prepared by the architect or structural consultant or the MEP consultant, mechanical, electrical, plumbing consultant, who's sometimes called as services consultants also. So these are the as-built drawings. No, these are the drawings prepared. And then the construction happens. Now, when the construction happens, sometimes these drawings, maybe a drawing or two, whatever, some revisions are required to be done because of, say, site aspects, whatever, you know. So the drawings which are released by your consultants, they suffer revisions during the process of construction. Now, what is required is that whatever revisions have suffered, I mean, whatever changes have happened at the site, the drawing also has to be revised to be compatible with that. Get the point? So the drawing is there, but you had to do something else at the site. Fair enough. The consultant advises everything. But it is a consultant's job, the same consultant's job, to incorporate whatever has happened at the site back into its drawing. If he does that, that is called as-built drawing. Before that, it is called working drawing. मतलब working drawing का मतलब क्या है? ये drawing लेके building बनाओ. As-built drawing का मतलब ऐसा है कि ये drawing लेके building बना या building बनी. There can be difference, and there, believe me, there can be big differences. Now, these drawings are very rarely found in the society's record. We make it a point in our project कि वो bunch मिल ही जाता है और हम लोग चेक भी करके देते हैं ये रियल में as built है कि नहीं. Okay, so the as built drawings you must have in your possession. When I say as built, architectural drawings, not approved plans. Approved plans are different. They come from BMC and all. They are different. They are there in the first bullet. I'm talking about the second bullet. As-built drawings prepared by the developers, architect, MEP consultant, structural consultant, which have been modified depending on what has the way it has been, the building has been constructed at the site. Now, quality certification. This also will find rarely मतलब मिलता ही नहीं. So ऐसा है कि quality certification means what? There have been so many quality checks during the construction all over. So many times the architect came to the site, so many times the structural consultant came. So maybe there were waterproofing work, all these things, whatever happened. Okay. So every time the quality was certified by the architect, certified by the structural consultant, certified by the MEP consultant, certified by the waterproofing agency, certified by, all these vendors. So these certifications have to be there in your record. Otherwise, how will you know whether the building was correct, constructed with proper quality control? All these record. Otherwise, many times this record ये तो होता नहीं है, कोई बनाता नहीं है. बनाया ना तो towards the end of the project वो कहाँ जाता है किसी को पता नहीं चलता. Nobody has. Now the next is amenities, especially for amenities, warranties and annual maintenance contracts. Okay, warranties for, let's say, parking. Let's say parking tower. Let's say puzzle parking. Let's say lift. तो उसकी वारंटी के डॉक्यूमेंट्स आपके पास होने चाहिए. Otherwise, लिफ्ट का ये हो गया तो you should be able to fall back on the warranty and tell that manufacturer or the company to repair that lift. And annual maintenance contract. You must have these copies. And then O&M manuals. O&M meaning operations and maintenance manuals and technical catalogs. आपके घर में जो लगा है, अगर आपके घर में वाटर प्यूरिफायर लगा है, एक्वागार्ड लगा है, तो एक्वागार्ड का ONM मैनुअल, डीजी सेट आपके पास है तो डीजी सेट का ONM मैनुअल, वाटर पंप का ONM मैनुअल, टेक्निकल कैटलॉग, एवरीथिंग व्हाट एवर हैज बीन फिक्स. Okay, for example, you have, let's say, video door phone system. You must have their manual, you must have their technical catalog, apart from warranties and AMCs, if at all it is applicable. So this is, ये सब आपके पास होना चाहिए. All this is still documents, remember. In handover, this bullet is only about documents. There are 5 things. Then, let's say, beyond that, document से होता नहीं है. So there have to be demos, demonstrations होना चाहिए, to be arranged by the developer. पैसेंजर लिफ्ट के लिए डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन होना चाहिए, कार लिफ्ट के लिए होना चाहिए, मे बी पार्किंग सिस्टम्स के लिए होना चाहिए, स्टैक पजल टॉवर पार्किंग, फायर फाइटिंग, प्लम्बिंग, इसके डेमोज होने चाहिए. डेमोज, you know what, you must have, I mean, if your building is tall, okay, you have a lightning arrestor right at the top, and then it is connected to some kind of a treatment underground. You must have data for this, and you must test it. You must get it tested. It means you don't test it yourself, but you must get it tested whether it is really functional. If there's a break, उधर चालू हो गया, नीचे भी है, बीच में कहीं break है, it's of no use. And such things happen. We have found that in one building, the current during the testing, it was seen that it was not functioning. And then some work was done. We called the person and then go away. So handover is documentary type as well as demonstration type. And then now the PMC has to give a project completion report. Remember, through our previous webinars, we've been talking that PMC will give a monthly progress CV report, which again is quite exhaustive. It could be 20, 30, 40 pages also, depending on your project. Okay, but that is a monthly report. What is required here is the report of reports, mother of reports, comprehensive reports, which gives a complete documentation from the PMC angle, PMC side about the project. So that is, I will show you what a project completion report looks like. And then project completion, this ये तो कहीं मैंने देखा ही नहीं होता है. Now just imagine I am a builder. I have done my work, मेरा सब काम हो गया, बराबर सब कर दिया. Okay. Then I must get a letter. See, when the society gave me a letter in the beginning, when they vacated, they gave me a letter to take possession of this. So now they should give me a letter that the project is complete. Then only I will hand over the possession of the plot to them. Otherwise, if I just hand it over to them and suppose there are some false allegations even from society, then where do I go? So there has to be a project completion letter from the society कि ये project हो गया successfully complete, and closure of contractual provisions. Okay, and provision for defect liability period. Now this, you have come up to this stage. Now there's going to be, the next 5 years will be defect liability period. Never going under the impression ये defect liability period महारेरा में है तो अपने आप हो जाए, ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं. महारेरा will bind the developer, or rather it has already bound the developer contract, I mean say legally, कि उसको ये करना है. तो जिसको जो करना है वो करता है, ऐसा ही नहीं ना. So that since it is all building, we have to make a provision for our defect liability issues. Say by RERA or even by our development agreement, we may bind the developer to repair the defects in the next 5 years. What if he doesn't do? So in such a case, what we have to have is that we have to think of some alternate mechanism, which is beyond the scope of today's webinar, some mechanism, and must retain some certain part of the developer's bank guarantee or something, or ask for a separate deposit, and put some kind of a system in place Okay, this is the practical side of it. Otherwise, you will always say developer is liable to repair the defects. Liability is different and actual work is different. So this is the process for the project. Now let me show you how it is done on a website. We will be visiting our website www.redevelopment.info. Sorry, yeah. So yeah, you are looking at this website. You can see here www.redevelopment.info. This is the website. Okay, successful redevelopment. Here you see there are 5 phases. We are at the last phase, that is repossession. Okay, for those of you who have not attended, say maybe a few earlier webinars, you should check out this website because it is much more. What I'm only showing now to you is only a small part of the entire website. There are so much of documentation, so much of useful stuff which you can download and use there, free of cost. There are some good references also. So what you see here is that there are 5 phases and we are right now at the last phase, that is repossession. Okay, so let me click on that. So when I click on repossession, I go to the repossession page. Okay, which itself has 4 notes here. Okay, you can see the notes, snag list and rectification, general notes pertaining to that phase. Then you have another note on repossession. Then you have a note on project closure documentation, part of which we discussed now. All these things, little bit we'll discuss. Qualities, reports, and certifications. Now, what you see on top here is, you see, for this page, what could be the roadmap? There are 4 things here. What is the roadmap? What it means is that what are the steps to be followed? Then what are the milestones in this project? What are the records which are getting created in this, and what are the guideposts which you can use for your project? Okay, so let me click on roadmap. So again, we have got I drop down with 2 options: repossession of flats, repossession of project, which we just talked about. I'll just click on this repossession of flat, and what you see here are the steps. Can you see these steps? This is about repossession of flats. What are the steps you should follow? Which step, by whom, what are the particulars? And you can see here, there are some steps for which even guideposts GPIs are available. For example, what is this? Inspect members units. Okay, there is a guidepost available. I'm clicking on that. For guideposts, I have to log in. Okay, what you see here, this is that guidepost, from where you came. So when you from that page, if you click on guidepost, you will come to this page. So let's go back. And so we were at roadmap. We have seen that repossession of flats. There are about 26 things for repossession of flats. It is not just कि OC आया और हम लोग possession लिए, ऐसा नहीं होता है. Then if you go to repossession of project, there are only 10 things, but they are very broad. So there's a lot of work in those 10 steps also. Milestones are here. There are 5 milestones. Now see how many records are getting created here. Looks like, this is such a small phase, 1 month and all, we are talking about that, the time frame. But if you see, there are 11 records getting created in this phase for the first part, repossession of flats. And how many are? And the other 7. So 18 records are getting created. And then there are guideposts for repossession of flats. There are 2 like this. So just wanted to give you an orientation of that. Remember this, There's a lot of stuff on the website. Even if you use part of that, even a small part of that, you will still find it worthwhile and it's ready for you. It's just you have to know, download and use. So with that, let me go back to my presentation. Yes. Yeah. This is a summary. Now next is, so next section is just about, what we saw. I'll run through it very quickly. What we saw on our website. Steps and milestones there. As I said, there are reposition of flats. We saw there were 26 steps and 10 steps per project. Milestones and HGBMs. These milestones are there on the website. I talked about records 9 and 18 records, 11 and 7, something like that. And guideposts. So this is what we are already seeing. Now, let me show you some important standards which you can use in your project. Okay. You might wonder, फ्लैट का स्लैग लिस्ट कैसे दिखता है, क्या करने का होता है, how to do that, or how to do that means how should your PMC do that. So what we see now is the first thing is flat position checklist. Now this is a paper which our engineers go with and accompanied by the developer's engineer, and what we do, yes, correct, yeah. So what you see here is the checklist for rehab flats. Rehab meaning your members flats. Here you can say living, dining, kitchen. Let me see how to show you the biggest thing. Correct. So on top you see LD means living and dining, K kitchen, P passage, master bedroom, master toilet, every area. And then items inspected, and these are the rooms, living, dining, etc. and the remarks. So walls and ceilings, flooring, skirting and dado, kitchen, modular kitchen. Can you see those checkpoints? How many are there? It takes a long time. Sometimes for the first checking, it takes more than half an hour for every flat. Sometimes if it's a 3 BHK flat, even maybe 45 minutes to 1 hour. So that kind of work, yeah, he's telling me half an hour mein hota nahi. I agree with him. So 45 minutes to 1 hour. So why? Because the work is to be done so meticulously. Once this is done, this becomes a record for you, and this becomes also a reference, which you can use for further rectification. So walls and ceilings, flooring, skirting and dado. Skirting, flooring में देखो कितने points है? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11 points है. नहीं 11 नहीं, और भी आगे. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18 points only for flooring and tiles. Okay. Whether hollow hai ki kya hai, all that thing. Then kitchen. See so many points for kitchen. It's going to the next page. Modular kitchen is separately, and overhead units. Doors and windows. Plumbing and sanitation. Electric, painting. And after all this is done, then there is a signature, developer signature, PMC signature, and summary of defects is made here. For radius, this is what it is. So the summary is given here, defects, so that it becomes easier for the developer to notice that and act on it. So I think how many pages are there, I don't know, but it's a very exhaustive checklist you can see. And we will be putting this on our website. That Uma will tell you later about that. So this is one checklist. Now let me go to some other standard which I can show you. Right, this is the checklist for external incomplete or pending works. Can you see them? सीलेंट लगा है कि नहीं, देखो क्या लिखा है, सीलेंट फिलिंग इन ए एंड बी विंग एंट्रेंस लॉबी फैसाड। ये एक सोसाइटी का आपको देख रहे हैं इसलिए लग रहा है ए एंड बी विंग। Sealant is also a point. Glaze tiles, can you see? There are so many. Terrace पे क्या है, कॉमन एरियाज में क्या है, इतने चेकलिस्ट अगर आप यूज करेंगे ना तो आपका रिपोजिशन का प्रॉब्लम कभी आएगा ही नहीं. मीनिंग you will get your flats really in good shape. Podiums, all that. Okay. This is the second standard. Now list of the documents which I told you na. See, kitne documents and drawings to be handed over. Can you see this? Approved documents देखा है अपन जो बोलते हैं ना approved plans. Approved plans इतने हैं. Sewer department, borewell permission कुछ नहीं छोड़ने का, सब लेने का. And it is you are not asking the developer to do some extra work. You are only telling him ये सब तुमको you had to do this during the process of the construction work. So let's have a copy of that for our record. So just in future, when I want to have some idea about the borewell, how deep it went, I should have some record with me. So this is about the approval of documents. You can see here, IOD approved plans और CCD. ये तो तीन तो एक में ले लिया. Actually, there are 3 documents. Okay. Then इसका भी आएगा, height का and all. Now as-built drawings. Can you see as-built drawings इतने? As-built meaning what? The architect, consultants, structural consultant and MEP drawing. देखो इतने है ये drawing. And I say when I say architectural drawing here, architectural drawing meaning not one. There could be 20. Structural drawing could be 20, like that. So there is a lot of stuff. It's only just this is just a checklist. Annual maintenance contract किसका and warranties क्या क्या लेने का, passenger lift, car lift, domestic water supply pump, flushing water supply pumps. देखो pumps are also different. Booster pumps, jockey pumps. I don't know what is jockey pumps. Okay, so much is there. Can you see this? All the external amenities. Starting. Is going to the next page. Internal amenities of rehab flats. Modular kitchen, CP fittings, sanitary fittings, electric fittings, all that. Video door, phone, geyser, and miscellaneous work. This thing and demos. क्या क्या demo आपको करना है? So many demos to be a builder has to give you. So this is yes, and then fourth number now. 4 is yes, quality certifications. So we want so many certifications, so many quality certifications from the developers consultant. ये सब हम लोग हमारे प्रोजेक्ट में करते हैं. You may feel अरे बाप रे इतना सब है. You are the client, but as those of if there are some PMCs in the audience, I would suggest that you can take these things and start using. Now see here, just so many quality certifications. Now here it says typical floor slabs. Take this case. Typical floor slab meaning आपकी building के suppose there are say 12 slabs. So this is one of the 12. So there will be 12 certificates. किसके होंगे? A for architect. Can you एक minute? Let me show you this. Typical floor slabs. Yes, I was talking about this. Now, for each floor slab, you should have certification from architect, structural consultant, and MEP for each slab. So if you have 12 slabs, you should have 36 certificates of number 13 only. Then the test certificates, okay, reinforcement tests, etc., which we discussed when we discussed about quality in earlier webinars. Audits, So these are the certifications. And certifications is 4 and observation. Yes. And then let me show you what the kind of report which we prepare uh, when that OC is received. We compare that with the earlier approved plan, and we prepare a report about parking. We prepare a report, then there are some observations, plans. पहले प्लान कैसा था, बाद में क्या हो गया, all that thing. इतना ही था मेरे इसमें. Okay. So and finally, I told you that we will show you a project completion report by the PMC. Now, what we have seen in earlier webinars, the monthly progressive report. Now, let's see here what we include in this. Project summary, number of flats, number of floors, कितना है, flats कितने, rehab flats कितने हैं, sale flats कितने हैं. Make it even bigger. Shops कितने हैं, कार पार्क कितने हैं, रिहैब मीन्स सोसाइटी के, सेल के कितने हैं, विजिटर्स कितने हैं, current stage of approval. You can see here full OC received, and you see this on 7/6/2024 last year. Okay, so this is the final report. Then let's go to the next page. There are so many. This has so many pages. How many pages it has? I don't know how many. Can you see it somewhere? 14. 14. 14. Yes. So then important milestones. Which were the important milestones which were watched during the course of the construction? Okay. Then list of approvals and permissions received. Project documentation report. Letters sent to society. Okay. How many? 60. Progressive report submitted to society. Progressive report submitted to society. For this, what you are looking at is a real document. Huh? Yes, a demo wala document nahi hai. This is a real document. Now you see progressive reports. We have submitted to them 48 progressive reports. So 48 once the project was the project duration, construction. And meetings, progressive meetings, total 34 numbers. Okay, see this. And वो minutes of meeting अलग अलग से दिया हुआ है. यहाँ तो खाली केवल ये है, लिस्ट है. So you can see total 39 meetings, out of which 4 meetings happened before construction began. So they are not in this report. That is why this starts with 5, number 5. Then site visits कितने हो गए देखो हमारे इंजीनियर के. We had a long discussion on site visit documentation during construction in the last 2 webinars. All these reports we again submitted to them. 115. Apart from that, these are formal site visits. Apart from that, we had some additional site visits for which we have given the rated P. So many additional site visits. Documents, records at the stage of completion of handover, whatever we gave. So this is our handover report to the society. देखो फर्स्ट चेकिंग कब किया, कितने फ्लैट का क्या किया, ऑल दैट थिंग. सेकंड चेकिंग, वी डिड थर्ड चेकिंग आल्सो फॉर दिस. अदर requirements list provided to the developer. छोड़िए अभी. This is so much. List for rectification and following list of which are handed over to the documents and drawing हमने फिर उनको hand over कर दिया. Scary, no? So I I think I have almost concluded. Let me see. Yes. What the next slide is? Right. Next slide is thank you slide. So we'll take questions now.